rock the place, 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 rock the place.
What up, friends?
What up, world? It's your boy Jimbo.
I'm that guy, Joe.
Welcome to another OBAAT on the road. We're out here today at Wild Sun. We got Ed over here.
Hello, everybody.
He's going to take us on a quick little tour of his beautiful winery slash brewery slash just fucking sweet spot.
Yeah, man.
Rock the place, rock the place.
Yeah, absolute thrill.
So a little bit about this land and this property. When I actually wanted to start the winery, I would drive by this property in the year 2000. I was still working for Budweiser at the time, but I would always drive by, and going back to my collegehood dreams, I wanted to open something like this, and I would drive by and say, that would make a great winery someday. And sure enough, here we are in 2024, and we actually made that happen. So
awesome.
the property spoke to me. I showed it to my business partner, Mark. It spoke to him, and if you come out here and you'll see, but it speaks to the soul. The original name of the property is called Heart's Ease, which I can imagine that in 1870, when they built the original house, there just had to be a sense of calm here. You know, they sat on this property, and I can't imagine that too much changed in the last 150 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick tour. I'll kind of guide you around, and let's see what we've got. But the ebb and flow of the hills, the lake, everything adds to the ambiance that are here. These trees, they're over 200 years old. So they're just gorgeous. We've got oaks on the other side of the parking lot that we did a rough estimate, and they are older than this country. We came up with 1774.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Okay. Damn.
So
That's
there's a lot of history that's happened on this property.
We're walking through history. I love that too.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's amazing.
so we're gonna get a tour. We're gonna taste some wine. We're gonna taste some beer.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put our hearts at ease. Honestly.
All right. Great. So this house here, the original house was wood, and then they had a fire in the 20s, and they rebuilt it as this brick in 1926, we were told. The floor joists are the originals, and the foundation is still the original. But you can see, like, this house alone is almost 100 years old already.
Yeah.
So very, very cool.
Honestly, it has very much like kind of an East Coast, early century look to it. I mean, it just looks like something you would see in old Boston or old Charleston.
Yeah. Come on in. And so there's a lot of woodwork. There's a lot of handcrafted areas. For instance, the steps, and we'll look at those in a second. But I mean, imagine 100 years old, and look how this frame is, how they did it all in plaster. It's just, they really did an exceptional job. So my business partner and I, when we started our journey, when we looked at this house, somebody had bought it prior, and they made all these changes that fell into exactly what we needed, which is really weird. So I feel like destiny was calling, and we knew that this property is ours. So in 2014, when we finalized the deal on it, we opened in 2015. There are several things that happened since then that kind of contributed to the fact that we belonged here. And one of the things I want to show you real quick is something that just kind of earmarks that. So when one of the ladies that used to own this, her family owned it, she passed away. She was 94 years old. They brought out the whole family out here. And they later gave Mark this picture of her engagement ring back from the 1940s. So I want you to see this, and we'll show the camera as well. But so here's our logo, and this was her engagement ring from the 1940s.
Oh shit!
Wow. Cool,
You can't make stuff up like that.
Whoa.
You see the
That's
logo
about
on
as
that?
serendipitous as it gets. That's fucking wild.
And this
So you guys
is
have
her
the
ring,
shirt
her
logo
engagement
on
ring
the
from the 1940s.
That is
Very cool. Yeah.
It's too uniquely odd
that is
to not make sense. Yeah.
That's some sort of outside force, whatever you want to call it.
I agree. So once again, the property spoke to us for reasons unknown, and we love it here. We've got a lot of passion for this property, for our products that we do. So let's continue our tour through, and I'll show you a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll follow you.
Okay. So we've got a picture of the lady that I just mentioned that passed away. that owned that engagement ring. We've got a picture of her upstairs in the bride's area, but she's on these steps from the 1943, I believe. So it's really an iconic set of steps. So anytime we have a wedding here, we try to get them on that just so you can continue the tradition.
That's right, man. That's a great walk down too. I mean, great photo, classic.
Yeah, exactly right. So okay, let's continue the tour out back. So we kind of wanted to create like the ebb and flow that the land already has. So that's why there's, you know, patios on different levels. The ground kind of dictated
Work
it,
with the dimensions a little bit.
right, but we didn't want to make it stagnant, you know, or sterile. We like the adventure that you're on. So that building there, that actually houses all of our production equipment for the winery. Below us, we call this our barrel room. So that's the wine area. We got a pavilion, lower patio. What we do plan to eventually do is do a nice area out for the bands to be out there and really kind of project out there versus the pop-up. So that's in the works of getting figured out. And then
got out today.
Today we have Johnny Littlefield,
Nice.
but goes by John Jarrett. He's down there enjoying a little break before he gets started. So you'll hear him in a minute. He's really awesome.
I really like this whole area. Not that it doesn't look like a kid could be here, but I feel like everybody's so putting out games and stuff for kids to play now that this actually feels like a place that like adults can come and hang out without, you know. Granted, I'm about to have a rug wrap, but like I love a place where
we are family oriented. Let's walk down here because you can get a better shot of the open field. And
this property. It is beautiful out here.
you should have seen it when the eclipse was here on 2017.
oh, I bet.
It was like the perfect day and such a cool experience. So we try to do small events like that, just to enjoy ourselves. And so you'll see we've got a barn over there. I don't know if you want to pan that way. Weddings are done right there at the arbor. That actually my business partner Mark made that.
Oh, nice.
He got married here as soon as we bought it, about a month later or whatever,
fantastic.
and he built that for him and his bride to get married. So we've used it ever since.
Hell yeah, man.
But just look how the ebb and flow of this, and you see through the valley all the way over there.
Yeah.
That's Festus down that way. So
Okay.
very, very cool. And, you know, adding the sun shades up there, the fans, just really kind of creates a whole new adventure. Nice ambiance.
Little garden area down here.
Yeah. So just a little soften it up a little bit.
Nice little landscaping.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful little. Your logo right there is fantastic.
Yeah, one of our guests actually made that for us. Really? We didn't know about it, and they brought it out and shared it with us, and it kind of says it all. You know, people come out here and they love it. As a matter of fact, we have several trees that are planted for loved ones lost. We have ashes that have been spread here because when they come out here, they loved it so much they wanted to be here. Yeah. So that makes us feel really great about what we're doing. So
you can put my Viking pyre right over there. As soon as
a single arrow.
Just a single arrow.
Careful, bud. So come on down to our pavilion. We'll check that out. We got a couple of parties starting early today. So
yeah, man, this is nice.
It's like a nice baby shower.
Yeah. It'll give you a nice look at what we can do. Obviously, we can hold hundreds of people on this property. We've got 10 acres. We're surrounded by woods, so we've got some nice neighbors as well. So I don't know. The community has really accepted what we're doing, and that's nice to work with them as opposed to you read stories where people are working against their neighbors and vice versa. And it, you know, we don't have any time or tolerance for stuff like that.
No,
you know?
and you're not doing anything wild, but there are always people that, for whatever reason or another, can work against alcohol businesses. It's you know.
Yeah.
But you guys have such a beautiful property here. It's fantastic that everyone around you is accepting and supporting.
Festival.
Right. Well,
you're just gonna get fish over there playing for 6 hours.
we actually might upset the neighbors at that point.
I mean, with the revenue though, a big outdoor stage.
I guess if it's big enough, we can buy new neighbors.
Hillsborough style.
So you guys do aging and stuff down low?
Yeah, we'll check out the production area just to see it.
How deep it goes down. Like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
Looks like it's probably pretty big.
So over on that building over there, that's actually our warehouse. Okay. This is our production. See if these are unlocked. I don't know yet.
Oh, cool, man. Love these doors.
Yeah, they locked them back up. So we'll come back to that.
Okay.
So that's all storage. So we've got our wine and beer all set up in there. Come on in.
All right. So now we're getting the good stuff.
This is where all of the wine magic happens. A couple of fun things happened on our journey while we were here when we started the winery. And we started the winery in 2015, and then we went over to brewing in 2019. So a little bit about the brewing aspect. Like I said earlier, I used to work for Budweiser. Always love my beer, love my wine, but always kind of wanted to do this and then have both products available, and maybe spirits as well. We're still looking at that. But our weird story is I was playing in a golf tournament in Forest Park, and I get a phone call of a guy that was interested in investing in our company. I'd never heard of him, etc. 20 minutes into it, he tells me that he's a brewer that used to work for Budweiser, and he's part of the team that created Bud Light. And I'm like, "What? You're in."
Okay.
You should have led with that.
Yeah.
And Jim's motto is Jim Crone, and Jim's motto is I'm making better beer now. So it's one of those, and it's beer that we think that you get a lot of people out there that say they don't like craft beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that if they tried the right craft beer, they would like craft beer.
So
Part of why we
once
do
again,
this show,
so you want to
harp
talk
on all
So
the
you want
time.
to talk about serendipitous? You've got all of your, your logo. This place working out. We did not prep Ed for anything on this. That's literally why we do this show. Is that so many people just hear craft beer and all they think is overly hopped IPAs, stuff that you got to be super into beer to drink. When no, in fact, there are good local. You don't have to drink the quote unquote king of beers.
Yeah.
There are
Some
good
people have
local
told me that
beers.
They don't really drink craft beer, and they've never tried an amber ale, a blonde ale,
Or for that matter, they've not
traditional
tried-
lager.
Right.
For that matter, they haven't tried a local lager. They haven't tried a local pilsner. That they're already drinking those kinds of beer, but they don't know it. They just know Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light. They don't know what it is. It's beer to them. Well, that is a style of beer. There's just better versions of it out
Especially
there.
as a craft brew bartender.
Yeah.
There's people that are like, when you try to tell them, I got a pilsner, they're like, I don't really like that, man. You got some kind of lager? Yeah, I got a pilsner. Yeah,
We get some of that as well.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest statements that we get a lot of, and it's, I don't know why, but we do, and we get people who say they don't like beer, but they like our beer, which I always sit there and think like, why'd you ever try our beer to know that, and then have that statement, you know what I mean? If I didn't like beer, I wouldn't have tried it, but they do, and they like it. It's kind of a weird, like when I worked for Anheuser-Busch, I'd get a lot of people that would call up and they would say Amheimer. And I'm like, well, how are there so many people in the world that mispronounce that as Amheimer?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of that same scenario, but it's weird.
Yeah.
I say, come try the beers. You'll enjoy the beers. If you don't like the first one, I'll try you a second one, etc.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee it. Right?
Something.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's going to be something in it, and that's kind of the point of what we talk
Yeah,
about
man.
a lot, especially now that more and more breweries are doing pilsners, lagers, traditional German beers,
I love
traditional
seeing that.
Czech
We've been very
beers.
excited about that
Yeah,
this summer. Not that I want every craft brewer to be making light lagers, but for so many years, nobody would touch it. And like, why make a lighter beer that's better than the commercial beers so we can support local? And I'm not mad at anybody that doesn't like hoppy beers, stout beers. Like, hey man, if you like light lager and that's why you drink Miller and Bud Light, cool. It's not your fault.
Yeah, if
there's not too many craft options.
If
for
you're
you.
going out to the Huzzah for a 6-hour float, you don't want a double imperial IPA, right? But
that is
Yeah,
correct.
but there was no good option.
A lot more options.
Yeah, there was no good option for floating and drinking a local beer, right? You're outside barbecuing all day. You're throwing a party. There was no good option for, I'm going to be in front of the grill for the next 5 hours smoking these ribs. I don't want to drink a 12% IPA.
Yeah.
Guess I'm drinking Bud Light.
Well,
it's fun to see the scene change.
Funny to say the Bud Light, and I know my history comes from AB, but my brother, who's one of our investors, he was very adamant, like right before we started, he's like, you got to have a domestic. You got to have it. If you don't want to have Bud Light, you got to have Coors Light. You got to do this. And I tried to explain to my brother, like, but we can make our own beer. We can make a better beer.
Yeah.
And he just wouldn't get it. We got into a lot of arguments on that one.
I can see it. Yeah.
And so I can still see it upstairs when Jim brought our American blonde. My brother's eyes and like you could see the light bulb go off above his head, like, oh, it was like, yes, dude, this is what I've been saying. Yeah, it's good stuff.
You almost like you need to name it American Light Beer, just to get people to try it. And then they're like, oh, what is that?
Or better than Bud Light. I don't know. Maybe please don't sue me. So anyway, so this is the production area. Come on in here to the barrels.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, that's always a pretty sight.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I really do.
Oh. So this is actually, we used to do winemaker dinners down here, but as we grew, we started outgrowing ourselves because now we don't have the room to set up the tables, but we'd have these great dinners. And then tying it back to the beer side of it, one of our beers, and you'll try it today, it's called our Tempest Porter. And we take our base midnight porter and we age it in a port wine barrel. And then for about 6 months or more, and then there's a little port residue back in there, and it just really turns out smooth. We nitrogenize it on the end, so it's just a very nice product.
Well, this gives you guys a very unique thing you can do with your own beers.
Oh yeah,
being that you make wine, because we've had barrel aged stuff, we've had stuff aged in
barrels from wineries,
and the fact that you're able to, hey, we made a wine. Now our own wine is going to go into making our own beer.
Keep it all in house.
That is fantastic. I mean, it's
fun.
I love a barrel room. I love a good whiskey tour down in Kentucky. I love a barrel room. You can feel it in my plums. It just makes me tingle a little bit. It gets. This is why I love. This is why I got interested in alcohol in the first place. Not because I'm a lush and I love to get drunk, but I love the artistry of it all. I love the science of it all.
There's a romance to it all.
There really is.
There's
history.
For me, it's the history. I genuinely love that it's like, this is fucking anthropology, man.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of what we drink and what we into, it's like, they started this process centuries ago, and now it's here we are 300 years later, and it's refined into what it is now. Or even other stuff, like some of the wines that we're trying, it's like, this is the same way people were drinking hundreds of years,
thousands of years ago.
It's just, it's so cool, man.
Take my own history for I have an Italian last name, but I'm adopted, and we did my DNA, and I am like 70% Irish, a little bit of English. Every single one of those things. The Italians, my namesake, the Irish, the English, they all have a history of why they make what they make. If you look at the English, their beers, the IPA, it comes from needing to make a stable beer that could make the journey from England to India. That is why it's called an India Pale Ale. It's all history. And then, of course, the wines in Italy.
All right. So how are you guys today?
Fantastic.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Gonna do some tasting with us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do we prefer drier, sweeter wines for the most part?
I prefer sweeter wine.
Kind of my
Sweeter side.
baseline is going to be, I like Malbec.
Malbec,
So I like kind of a dark
Okay.
red.
Sure. What about whites?
Whites, I'll do a Pinot Grigio every now and then,
That
or a
style?
drier Chardonnay, something
Okay.
a little oaky.
I don't drink a lot of wine.
Okay.
When I do, it's normally with food, and I do enjoy red wine flavors a little bit more.
Okay. Yep.
Drier wines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got pairs well with them. All right. So what I'm going to recommend, I want everybody to start with our dry vigneron. It's aged in stainless steel. It's very light. It's very crisp. It's going to have hints of peach, a little bit of apricot. It's going to be in the style of a German Riesling.
Ooh.
Most of the time, German Rieslings are a little drier than American style of Rieslings.
That's cool.
I like German drinks in general.
Right.
But I want
German
you to
beer fan.
I want you to smell it twice and taste it twice.
Okay.
So when you smell it with just your nose first, and then put the mouth of the glass over your mouth and nose and breathe in through both, because it'll get up into the olfactory bulb. It's a completely different aroma than just using your nose.
Nice.
When you sip it at least 2, 3, 4 times. The first time you sip it, you're just going to kind of swish it around like mouthwash. You're just going to clear your palate of what you previously had.
Right. Okay.
The second sip, third sip is when you're going to get the big flavors. Hold those on your palate for about 2 or 3 seconds.
Oh, you're right. The aroma does change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, smell that sweet.
No, I mean, it's got very fruity notes without being.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about this with beer all the time, like some of those really sweet beers, but they're not overly sugary.
Yeah. Now, I will say this one, it's still considered a dry wine, but it has a hint of sweetness to it. It's at about 1.2% residual sugar, but there's a little acid on the finish. So that really balances the wine, really mellows out the sweetness level.
So, not being big wine guys, this honestly being the first wine tasting we're doing on the show.
Yeah.
What defines when we say dry wine? What does that necessarily mean? You kind of were talking about residual sugars. So what does a dry wine mean?
So a dry wine is that it's the amount of sugar that is going to be in the wine. For the most part, you are going to ferment wine completely dry and then back sweeten it to the sweetness levels that you want. You know, for the Moscatos, the sweeter wines, those are 10, 12, 14% sugar at times.
Okay.
With dry wine, you might back sweeten them just a tiny bit to about 0.3, 0.4, but those are just to balance the wine, to soften the wine, where it doesn't taste so sharp that it just all the moisture is completely gone from your mouth.
See, we don't drink a lot of wine, but we started homebrewing mead almost a year ago. So we learned a similar process.
It is.
It's really fun to learn. I really love that kind of across all the different spirits is like learning. Fermentation is fermentation, but the process and the reactions for different spirits, it's different process, different style.
Yeah. And what's crazy with wine is you get one shot because you get grapes one time a year.
Yeah.
And that's it. With beer, with mead, you can really make that all year long.
Yeah.
But with wine, you get one time and that's it.
Yeah.
If something happens with that vintage, you got to wait till next year.
It's really nice, man.
So Joe, especially not being a white wine guy.
Yeah,
I personally thoroughly enjoyed that. I would absolutely drink that a summer day. I mean, it is very crisp.
Really
that
like
is
the
nice.
sample. Most of the white wines I've ever had are pretty damn sweet.
Yeah.
Buttery, and I don't always love it. Well, it's like this is something that if I'm going to drink it, it's like it's got to go with the right kind of food. I'm not going to crack a bottle and sit back and watch a movie and drink a sweet white wine. It's not going to happen.
I'm not going to do the sweet wine, but I would crack that on my patio and I would drink that.
Yeah.
I really like in a small sample like that, I really like that. Like the flavors open up a lot, and I can taste all the fruit.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had like hints of peach and apricot on a wine before.
Yeah.
With a sweeter wine, because of the sugar, it masks all the flavors.
Yeah.
All you taste is sugar, especially with food. It's hard to have even a sweet red with a steak. Yeah. Because all you taste is sugar. You're not tasting the steak anymore.
And we get that with our mead. If we back sweeten it a little bit, you get, if we do a berry mead and you don't back sweeten it a whole lot, you're going to get more of the berry than if you load it up. If we take it, if we like cold crash it early and then it just, your banana is a good example of that. That was very tasty, but it was very sweet because you cold crashed it. Yeah. The banana flavor was really up front.
Yeah.
No, so that's fantastic.
So with that and along with our Radiance, that's a Pinot Grigio style of wine. Those are probably our two most popular wines.
Yeah.
The reason it's most popular and what we sell the most are two different things.
Okay.
Most popular are going to be those two, and it's because dry wine drinkers, for the most part, there's a group of 4, and you're all drinking either Radiance or Dry Vigneault. Between the 4 of you, you're going to finish 2 bottles. You might start a third.
Okay.
Because dry wine drinkers, for the most part, will take a sip of wine, conversation, sip of wine, and it's about 20, 25 minutes between glasses before you pour another one.
Okay.
The same, you're all drinking what we sell the most, Chaos White, our sweet white, which is 5% sugar. Between the 4 of you, you're going to finish 4 bottles, you might start a 5th.
Right.
And that's because most sweet wine drinkers will take a sip of wine, drink half the glass of wine a lot of times.
Yeah.
Have some conversation, finish the glass, and it's 10 to 15 minutes between glasses.
Yeah.
So, and it's just no fault of their own. It's because their entire life, Kool-Aid, sweet tea, soda, everything had sugar, so it was just easy to drink it the exact same way. So
makes
yeah,
sense.
what our most popular are those two, and that's just because summer's so much longer.
Yeah.
So we sell more white like that. But Chaos White, our sweetest, is what we sell the most.
Well, that makes me feel
This
a little
was
bit
the
more
Radiance that we had?
sophisticated.
That was the Dry Vigneron.
Driving up.
Yeah, you want to try Radiance to kind of see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
difference
yeah,
in the two?
absolutely. Yeah, that definitely makes me feel a
100%.
little bit more sophisticated because I prefer a dry wine. Absolutely. Can I smash an entire bottle of bourbon in a night? Yeah, but
And that's just my 20 plus years of being behind a tasting bar.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I've just seen it,
yeah.
you know. So yeah, more Pinot Grigio
Yes.
style.
This is a lot drier than the other. Not a
It's
lot, but it's drier.
0.3% residual sugar on this one. So yeah, drier.
That pear and that
More.
apple.
Yeah. Yeah, this one,
Oh yeah, you can even smell the pear.
yeah,
Mhm.
for your Pinot Grigio, your Sauvignon Blanc style of wine, for people that like those types, this is what they really like. All right, you guys were talking earlier, rosé all day. I want you to try our rosé.
Okay.
Because that's another myth, I should say. A lot of people,
Still a little bit more dry than I expected.
yeah,
See, I'm liking both of those because
Yeah.
they are very,
See,
they're
like
very
this
dry.
one, and I'm looking at the pairings too. That first one, yeah, I would really like. I can see that. I'm like, yeah, I would like to try it with some seafood. That
Yeah.
sounds good. This just makes me think like it could be nice with a dessert though too. It's just 'cause
Yeah,
the
like
sweetness
some sort of
hits
light.
me a certain way. Yeah,
Like
a lighter.
tart.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
fruity.
yeah, something
Not
fruity.
like cake.
No,
No.
yeah, not a
Cake with
fudge,
thick icing
not a
or
big old
anything.
fudge sundae, but
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, some nice berries
It smells
and
really
cream.
nice, man.
Hell, I would love some just a nice piece of fish with either one of those
Mhm.
though.
yeah, very much so.
Yeah, whitefish.
Yeah,
So our dry rosé, so people walk in and say, I don't even need to try rosé. I was like, all rosés are sweet. I'm like, okay, that's a myth. All rosé means is color, has nothing to do with
Yeah.
sweetness level.
Okay.
But because of white Zinfandel, it's been Americanized. So many people associate this color with sweetness.
See, I've actually had
I got
opposite
you.
experiences with this. Now you've been but I've had plenty of times where I've bought a bottle of rosé, knowing it was dry, and people try it and they're like, "Oh, why is that?" I was expecting something sweet. So I've had a lot of people that,
Yeah.
I don't know who told me it was dry. I think it was, when rosé all day became a thing, I was like, "Oh, I gotta try it."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, that's not sweet." I don't
Really,
know why I thought it.
Over the last 5 to 10 years, more and more, wineries are making dry rosés instead of the blushes and the sweeter
Yeah,
rosés. A lot of your European rosés are dry.
so it is not a specific grape then that makes a rosé.
Nope. Rosé you can actually make two different ways. You can actually take a red grape and almost immediately press that, and you'll get a hint of this type of color. Get a little bit of color, just a short time on the skins, because that's where you actually get the color for red wine is from the skins.
Oh, okay.
But you can also take a finished white wine and add just a hint of red to it to make a rosé. That's another legal way you can make it.
Hey, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, this with you're gonna get hints of wild strawberry, a little bit of cranberry, but we always sell out before then. But with Thanksgiving turkey,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it.
this is unreal with Thanksgiving.
What I'm liking about it too is like it's a little bit sweet and it's nice, but like I don't know, you can almost kind of smell that little bit of alcohol hit on there. You can taste a little bit. I'm like, it doesn't seem like it's strong, but I'm like, oh, this drinks well.
Yeah.
See,
okay.
The biggest thing that keeps catching me on all these dry wines, and I think why I like them more than any of the sweet wines, is that clean finish. You guys even say it in your descriptions, clean finish.
Yeah.
One of the things I hate about a sweet wine, and I don't like this with sweet beers as well, they coat your mouth. You wind up with this, that kind of stickiness, that sugar coating in your mouth.
Yeah, most of your clean finish wines are going to be stainless steel aged. Because of the stainless steel, it is very light, it's crisp, and it'll finish very quickly. You
Makes
get
sense.
that clean finish to it. The next one I'm going to have you try is our, it's called Crying Stone Cuvée Blanc. but this is actually French oak aged. So you're going to, where those other ones that you just had are going to be that light crisp. This is going to have that lingering, almost creaminess on this one. Now this one is a little special. This is actually, it started when Cody tells Mark he wants us to make a world-class reserve Cabernet Sauvignon. 40 years Mark's been in the industry. When he was at other wineries, could never experiment, had to make what the owners of the other wineries wanted. You know, now that he owns his own place, he can kind of do what he wants.
Yeah.
And an idea he had decades ago, the two of them went out on the 10-acre property, dug up sandstone and limestone. So that's a piece of limestone that was on the property, all different sizes. They cleaned them up. They then put them in a big stainless steel tank. They will then take the wine from the French oak, put it in the stainless steel, and age there for a period of time on those stones, where it's picking up the minerality from those stones.
That is.
I haven't found anybody in the U.S. that does this.
Dude, I love experimental shit
Yeah.
like that. And this is exactly why we come to
And
places like this.
That's why we love Mark.
That is beautiful. That's why we come to places like this.
Yeah.
This is why we do the show we do, to find out really interesting shit
Yeah,
like
man,
that.
the thought
That's so
process
cool.
of like, fuck, let's put it on live.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah, that's why I love Mark so much, because he is willing to experiment just to see. No, when he made the red first, and when he made it, he
It's
only made
really interesting nose.
He only made 13 cases because he didn't know how guests would react. I sold out in a week because of that, because it's something different. You know, I compare these wines, this and the red, more to wines in Burgundy, France, because they're the sandstone, limestone, and shaler in the vineyards there. So the grapes and then wines will pick up those notes naturally.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to do that, because obviously one of the few things I know about wine is part of why it's regionalized, especially French wines, Italian wines, the dirt they grow and the minerals that are in there.
The terroir.
Well, let's add some minerals afterwards.
So
let's
this-
ferment. That's
So
interesting.
So
I
now
love that.
this property is tied to these wines because of the
Finish
stone.
is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a beer experience I'm used to, but I haven't drank enough wine to have that. Like, it hits the palate with a certain kind of quality and flavor, and then when it finishes, more different flavors come out.
Completely.
We talk
different
about that
flavors.
with beers a lot, especially with darker beers, and let them warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
So used to that. I've never experienced that with a wine before.
Yeah, and most of with wine, it's the same way. Really, white wine is served too cold, and red wine is served too warm. You know,
Yeah, man,
my feeling is 30 minutes before, you know, I'm going to serve a red wine, I'm putting it in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Give a little chill to it. I want it about 63 to 65. You know, and white wine, I'm pulling it out of the refrigerator about 30 minutes before I'm going to serve
Let
it.
it sit a little.
Let it sit a little. Let those molecules that are in the
flavors come
wine
out.
Yeah.
start buzzing around again to impart those big flavors.
That makes sense.
Is
This
there
a nice
really
experience right
any
here, though.
benefit, unless I don't buy expensive wines, is there really any benefit to decanting or aerating?
There are for very young wines.
Okay.
Very young wines can taste very tannic. You know, they haven't developed, you know, the mouthfeel that you want in that bottle because they're so young. So you decant it, let it breathe for a little bit, let some of that CO2 blow off. It'll soften the wine. And then the same thing with very old wines that have been sitting for quite a long time, and they'll kind of do the same thing. Anything old, I always say, you know, get you a strainer, because there might be, you know, some of the color can fall out.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people think that that's bad for you. It's not. It's all natural. You can eat it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very tart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, those are the two things that I, you know, decant for. Or if you want to impress somebody.
Yeah.
You know,
I have. Well,
you don't want them to know what you're pouring. You know?
Well, I have two decanters, and then I have that little bottle top thing your mom gave me. 'Cause
Yeah.
you and Kate gave me a decanter.
Yeah.
Somebody at our wedding gave us another decanter. Actually, I think I had three. I re-gifted one to my parents. I was like, I don't need three fucking decanters.
Yeah.
Okay. So because that's one of those things where I will typically, like, even just a bottle of Malbec that I pick up, I'll typically pour it in my decanter, just because I'd always been told, like, that makes it better. That helps.
Yeah, it blows off some of the CO2. It'll let it soften a little bit. But if it's a young wine, yes. If it's a very old, yes. If it's kind of when it should be drank, you don't really.
So if it's like a 2022 and it's 24,
I'd probably
decant it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some you don't have to, but
Yeah.
Do you see the difference in this versus the first one?
That might be my favorite so far, just because it is so unique in that minerality.
Got a good taste to it.
Yeah. It's got a very interesting finish. I really like that a lot.
Really
I understand why you sold out of that.
Yeah.
I've never
first round.
experienced that before. Yeah, like with the wine. Yeah, you get certain flavors right up front. As soon as it goes down, more flavors open up.
Oh,
yeah.
Back in.
Yeah.
And the body of the mouthfeel of it is significantly different than those first three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one, I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. We're going red,
Okay.
but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Now, I do this type of tasting also first Sunday of the month down in the barrel room. It's a double blind tasting.
Nice.
I haven't found anywhere in the world yet that does one like this.
I love
Black glasses.
Yes, I love it.
You don't know anything. You get blindfolds that you put on when I pour
sweet.
the wine.
Interesting.
But I've done it over 2 years and no one's gotten them all right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is so fun doing it because
This group ain't gonna get anything right.
people will swear that a red wine is white and vice versa.
Yeah.
Really?
It
Right.
happens every time.
Right.
So this is kind of a short version of that. You know the color, but you don't know which wine it is. I definitely want you to do the smelling it twice and the tasting twice since we've gone red. And let me cleanse your palate a little bit.
After years
Since
of
we're
being
going from
in,
white. And even for those that enjoy sweeter wines, the problem is they don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
All right. What do we think of this one?
A little French oak.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine this with a steak about an inch
Was
thick,
getting ready to
medium?
say,
Oh, yeah.
Is this somewhere low?
See, because I like
Pork? Not pork.
dark liquor. I'm
Yeah.
a beer fan, so that's what I've always liked with red wine more. It's like it's drier, it's
Totally
more
got
bitter,
mistake.
it's got more of a bite to it.
Yeah.
Right away it's like, oh, this is good with
Yeah.
food.
It'll definitely have more tannins because of the oak aged aspects.
Yeah,
And
this-
those coming from the skins and
when
seeds
I
also.
do drink wine, this is
Yeah.
the wheelhouse that
Yeah.
I'm always in.
So we do. I don't know if you guys know, but we don't grow any grapes. Big reason is when Mark was at the other locations, had to rely on the grapes they grew. That's farming. That's 8 months out of the year.
Yeah.
You're worrying about weather,
Yeah.
pests, disease, even mowing. He's known as growers for decades. The Missouri varietals that we have are coming from the grape growing regions. But we do bring in grape clusters from Washington State and the Columbia Valley. But everything is clusters, no juice. So it goes through our crusher destemmer, our press, and we make everything right here on site. So it's like the vineyards are just down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always heard that Missouri is a really good place for wine.
It was, before Prohibition, it was ranked up there in the top
That's what I was
5
hearing, that-
in the world in wine
Well,
production.
I do know that there's some developer that is trying to create a new Napa Valley
Yeah.
in Missouri.
Napa, the Midwest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that from somebody. 'Cause
Yeah.
obviously, I'm not that wine educated, but
So
yeah,
what
I've heard
is,
that before.
what is this? I'm very.
It used
Is it
to
a
be
cat? It's not
A
a,
hot spot.
It was.
As far as the country goes,
Yeah.
and now everybody thinks about the coasts and stuff. But apparently Missouri used to be.
It's not the
Cabernet
Cabernet
Not
Sauvignon.
the Cabernet Sauvignon.
That's what I wondered at first. Is it a Cabernet?
Pinot
But
Noir.
everybody thinks it's a cab. Nobody thinks it's what it is. Because there's a lot of this wine in Missouri that isn't the greatest. Sad to say.
It's pretty nice.
It is very
State
nice.
grape of Missouri. The Norton. But I always blind taste this one because there are people that walk in here that have had a bad experience with Norton. I don't need to try Norton either.
I got you.
If they don't know what they're trying, then they're a little more, at ease when they find out what it is. Oh, this is nice. But
I like that. Yeah.
But again, with a steak, this is
Oh yeah.
Not bad. It's
unbelievable.
I think a duck breast would go great with that too. Like I would love
Oh
it.
yeah, duck
Yeah.
confit.
Oh,
100%.
Yeah.
why am I a fat kid?
You know that would be good because Like the oils and the type of fat that's
the
on
fat,
that meat.
the fat, definitely.
It's so unique compared to other animals.
Yeah, with these red wines, I mean, you do want that fattiness, from sausage and duck and steak and cheese.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wine my mom would like a lot.
All right, let's go.
The Norton.
That was the Norton.
I don't know about that actually. Like what kind of wine that is.
So it's a native grape to the United States. It was almost declared the United States grape before Prohibition. I compare it more to a Shiraz in Australia because of the spice and the pepper that you're going to pick up with it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The pepper.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So we're going to jump to our Cabernet Sauvignon. Again, these grapes are coming from Washington in the Columbia Valley. But you're going to get hints of black cherry, big full-bodied red. And this is about the temperature that I want them. I had them here in the refrigerator.
That's got a nose on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bigger full-bodied red than what Norton.
Yeah, buddy.
That bouquet, it hits you too.
Another reason that I love it here is when Mark's, working on a new wine or even new vintages, he'll bring me up samples and I'll smell it and it sucks me back to Europe.
Yeah.
Every
awesome.
time it is.
Awesome.
I mean, it smells like a berry patch. I mean, it smells like a berry patch. Just.
Oh, so did you go to Europe for training, for schooling?
I was actually stationed over there.
Okay, is that where you started getting into wine?
Yeah,
Oh, you said in Germany.
That's kind of where the passion started.
Yeah.
I guess it probably really hit me. I was at Aviano Air Base, Italy, and went to the restaurant right outside the gate and had a big dry Italian red with pasta and
the whole experience.
Yeah. And my eyes just popped open like, oh my goodness, this is unreal. And ever since then, I just had.
Yeah.
What do we have right outside our airport? Like a McDonald's or something?
Waffle House.
Now, this man had a revelation outside of an airport. You fly into St. Louis and that's. You know what? This is actually fitting. We're doing this day. My parents are currently in the Mediterranean Sea right now.
Oh no shit!
I know my dad is drinking as much wine as possible. So suck it, Dad. I'm doing a wine tasting too.
They might be. They might be passing Mark, or on the same. Are they on a boat?
Yeah, they're doing a Mediterranean cruise.
They might be on the same boat.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Look at me now, Dad. And you
look at me now.
And you said starting to drink at 16 was going to take me nowhere. Again, it's another wine. It means much more when Joe says that's a wine you would drink. Because most of these dry reds, honestly, the whites, I don't drink any of these, honestly.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, this is way more like what I'm familiar with. Like when I'm,
it's a little bit lighter than the last one.
House, and he's like a glass of wine. I'm like, but what do you have?
Yeah,
that's always my reaction because I'm like, obviously I'm gonna have it with food, but I'm like, what do you got?
Yeah.
Something like this, I'm always like, yeah, sure, I'll have one. Why not? I think.
Well, what do you guys think?
The Norton and the Rosé have me.
I was gonna say, I think out of the four that we've tasted, the Rosé is probably my favorite. Or the one with the limestone.
What
was that called?
That's the Grindstone
Cuvée.
Grindstone.
That's
actually, I think I'm gonna take Grindstone.
Okay.
I think that was the most interesting one.
Yeah,
that's that's the red I want you to try. So this is the Crying Stone Cabernet. So this is where the Crying Stone started.
This was the first one.
So this
the first of the Crying Stone.
Yeah, this is the Crying Stone. This is where it started. It worked with the red, so he decided he wanted to make a white. So you pick up the minerality on the finish.
I feel like Stone
It
Cold
really-
Steve Austin drinking wine.
It really softens the tannins.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Look at the legs. Look at the legs.
You know, you breathe that in a little bit, and it just gives you a punch of flavor.
Yeah.
The
Again, you know, steak, duck,
yeah.
but by itself is just ambrosia to me. It really is.
Oh wow.
So you say that people will drink the sweeter
Wow.
wines faster. I hate to say it, I would pound that too fast. Like that is
I could pop this.
so good,
This has
and
a
it's so unique.
really nice finish.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
really, really nice.
That minerality really takes the
guess
acidity
so.
off.
Yeah.
Like it takes the edge.
It does.
Because it's still
Off.
dry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but like that dryness starts to fade and go away quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a wine like for snacking, man, with a charcuterie board.
And I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you how Crying Stone got its name. It actually comes from Mark's favorite Bible verse, which is Luke 19. So on the labels, down in the left corner, there's a 1940, which is on the other side. And that is when Jesus is going into Jerusalem during Palm Sunday, and the Pharisees and guards tell him, you have to quiet your people down. They're going to break out into a mob. He says, if I quiet them down, even the stones would cry out. So hence the name Crying Stone.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool shit.
Well, that is. I mean, that wine's a biblical experience. I mean, that is something to share with friends repeatedly.
Definitely.
That's very, very smooth.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, this seems like a good one. You know, having a little gathering, little dinner party.
Yeah.
Even people like me, it's like, I don't really drink wine. Yeah, but taste this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And see what I love about this is not a $200 bottle of wine. You
Yeah.
present, but I guarantee if I presented this to
This is
some
really
of my
nice,
friends that think they know a lot about wine
Yes.
and told them I paid $200 for it, they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh
Yeah.
wow, that
That's-
is."
With the next one I'm going to have you try, those wines, if it would say, you know, California,
Yeah.
or if
Yeah.
it would say Washington or Oregon, yeah, you're easily charging $200 for this bottle.
Well, let's get that next wine, and because I think we got to wrap up the wine tasting portion.
We'll just turn this into
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah,
I'm
that's fine.
learning so much.
I know you are. I am too. This is phenomenal.
I am now going to what is my favorite.
Okay.
This is your personal.
This is my personal favorite.
I really like that.
A lot of this wine also is its potential, because this is a very young wine.
Okay.
So this is a 2022 vintage. So it's very young. This is our first of this grape varietal that we've made. We only released it about a month ago. To our wine club members, our Tempestuous Club members could buy it first. If there was anything left, then it would be available to the public. And we do have some available to the public. But this is our first Petite Syrah.
Now, do you plan on like aging this? So I see this now, but aging it for 10 years. Do you have like a batch that they're going to be aging?
They do. Mark and Ed and Cody. I haven't gotten mine yet. You know, I want our guests to be able to experience it and appreciate it.
Create the library for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm. You know what I'm really liking that stands out to me a lot? Because we've sampled a bunch of different things now, different styles. It's not where like everything's just kind of starting to run together and I'm just drinking wine. There is a dramatic change in the aroma and the taste on every
Everything.
single one of these bottles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've definitely experienced that before too, doing a tasting and having like 4 or 5 red wines. And by that third one, I'm like, it all just tastes like wine to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, this is my favorite.
I understand why it's your favorite. I understand why people would absolutely love this. I still love the Crying Stone.
No, I do too.
I can't.
Yeah. The Crying Stone is 2 years older.
Yeah.
You know, in 2 years, and we try and, you know,
Okay.
I want you
Yeah,
to tell me.
Crying Stone
I guess I'll have to come back. at
You
some
got to
point.
come back, right?
Damn.
No, I
I
want
mean,
you,
for-
I
I mean,
want you to try something.
You're
I'm gonna
right.
put a-
For a young wine.
yeah, I'm going to put a little bit more in yours because I want you guys to try something.
I like the dryness on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll really get the
Like,
dryness.
just sitting there, you know.
So with this next sip, I want you to really like
Let it
mouthwash.
sit.
Put it all the way up in here, just way up in here, and let it sit there for about a count of 2 or 3, and then swallow it and feel your palate.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it takes over your entire palate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of like flutters down.
This is a European wine
Yeah.
made here in Hillsborough, Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely
This would
say
be my favorite.
I've never tried a wine like this
No.
at all.
Here's the thing: is in all honesty, I probably have tried wines that are close to some of these, but having someone actually explain it to you, as opposed to, fuck, dude, I told you the story. We went to my buddy's property. One of my friends is a member of like the New York or the Wall Street Journal, whatever. One of the wine clubs. It's like, you know, he brought a $250 bottle of something up to the farm when we'd all been drinking and shooting guns all day.
Yeah.
Was it a phenomenal bottle of wine? Absolutely.
Putting down
I don't know.
Bud
It's 200, you know, it's like, but I feel like I would have enjoyed that more. It could have been $60 and somebody explaining it to me would have made it a lot better.
Yeah.
And I wish other places would, even behind the tasting bar, would,
Yeah.
you know, give a little bit of more information,
Yeah.
you know, instead of, you know, giving you a wine list, you know, circle 5,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
what do you want? You know, pour it, might say a little bit, but, you know, not enough information to, you know, I mean, that's why I always want to be just a wine educator, because I want to, you know, teach people about wine, our wine.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, that lines up perfectly with pretty much our mission statement, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you want to teach people about wine. We want to show the places to teach people about beer, wine,
spirits.
everything
Yeah.
local in the Midwest. We want to highlight.
Yeah.
Rodney, it has been an absolute
It's
pleasure. That is
been
the best
mine
wine
also.
tasting I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
Um,
I would say probably my second best.
Rodney, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
An absolute
Thank
pleasure.
You. Thank
It's been
you.
great.
Thank you. It's been my
Thank
pleasure.
you for your service,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much. Thank
Enjoyed
you.
the story.
Good.
It's great.
Well, folks, that has been a phenomenal episode at Wild Sun in Hillsborough, Missouri. I mean, Joe, what do you got?
Beautiful time. Great tour. I actually found wines that I enjoy. Just fucking wine that I could drink again. I'll be damned. Ed, thanks for having us out, man.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You got
Wonderful.
you got anything you want to say, plug, shoot out there?
Yeah, I would say to anybody out there that hasn't been here, come on down. I think you're going to really enjoy yourself. We've got great wine, great beers, great people, great views, so great music, great food. So apparently everything here is great.
You want to talk about great views? Take a look at the view
Yeah.
this way. Thank you very much for joining us for One Beer at a Time on the road.
Thank you. Peace.